morning sun cast long shadows across Main Street as Emma hurried toward the bus stop, her worn shoes clicking against the sidewalk. At 25, she had learned to navigate life with grace despite the weight of her struggles. Her mother's medical bills had consumed most of their savings, and Emma worked 2 jobs just to keep their small apartment. She paused at the crosswalk, checking her watch nervously. The interview at the downtown office was her chance at a better position, one that might finally provide the stability her family desperately needed. That's when she noticed him. An elderly gentleman stood at the corner, his silver hair catching the morning light. He wore a simple black coat and leaned heavily on his walking cane, his weathered hands gripping it tightly. Something about his posture suggested uncertainty, perhaps even a touch of fear as cars rushed past. Emma glanced at her watch again. The bus would arrive in just a few minutes, and missing it meant missing her interview. But the old man's hesitation tugged at her heart. Without a second thought, she approached him gently. "Good morning, sir. Would you like some help crossing the street?" The man looked up, his kind eyes meeting hers. Deep lines spoke of decades of hard work and countless stories. When he smiled, it was warm and genuine. "That's very thoughtful of you, young lady. These old legs aren't quite what they used to be. And these drivers seem to be in such a hurry these days." Emma offered her arm and he accepted it gratefully. Together they waited for the light to change. As they crossed, she matched his careful pace, never rushing or showing impatience despite the precious minutes ticking away. "I'm Henry," he said as they reached the other side safely. "Emma," she replied, steadying him as he adjusted his grip on the cane. "Where are you headed so early, Emma? You seem to have somewhere important to be." She hesitated, then smiled. "A job interview, actually, though I'm afraid I might be cutting it close now." Henry studied her face, noting the quiet determination mixed with worry. "What kind of work are you looking for?" "Administrative assistant at Morrison & Associates. It's not glamorous, but it pays well enough to help with my mother's medical expenses." The sincerity in her voice touched something deep in Henry's chest. Here was a young woman who had stopped to help a stranger when she clearly had her own pressing concerns. "Well then, I certainly hope it goes well for you. Though something tells me any employer would be fortunate to have someone with your character." Emma's bus approached in the distance, and she knew it would be the last one that could get her to the interview on time. She looked at Henry, then at the bus, making a decision that surprised even her. "Would you like me to help you to wherever you're going? I can catch the next bus." Henry was moved by her offer, but he shook his head gently. "No, dear. You've already done more than enough. Go catch your bus and ace that interview." She squeezed his arm gently before hurrying toward the bus stop. As she climbed aboard, she waved through the window, and Henry waved back with his free. And what Emma didn't know was that Henry wasn't just any elderly gentleman. Henry Morrison owned the largest farming operation in 3 counties, with over 2,000 acres of prime agricultural land. His family had built Morrison & Associates from a small farming business into one of the region's most successful agricultural enterprises. That afternoon, Henry sat in his downtown office reviewing applications for the administrative assistant position. When Emma's resume crossed his desk, he paused. The address seemed familiar, and when he saw her name, he smiled to himself. When Emma arrived for her interview, she was surprised to be led directly to the corner office. Her heart nearly stopped when she saw the familiar figure behind the large oak desk. Henry looked up with the same warm smile from that morning. "Hello again, Emma." Her hands trembled slightly as understanding dawned. "Mr. Morrison, I had no idea that I was the Henry Morrison whose company you were interviewing with." He chuckled softly. "Life has a way of weaving interesting patterns, doesn't it?" Emma sat down, still processing the coincidence. "I want you to know, I didn't help you this morning because I knew who you were. I would have done the same for anyone." "I know," Henry said quietly. "And that, my dear, tells me everything I need to know about your character." The interview that followed was unlike any Emma had ever experienced. Henry asked about her values, her dreams, and her family. When she mentioned her mother's illness, his expression grew thoughtful. Emma, I'd like to offer you the position, but not just as an administrative assistant. I need someone I can trust to help me with community outreach programs. Someone who understands that real success isn't measured only in dollars, but in how we lift each other up. The salary he mentioned was more than double what she had expected. As Emma walked out of the office that day, her heart full of gratitude and hope, she thought about the simple act of kindness that had changed everything. Sometimes the most ordinary moments create the most extraordinary opportunities. Henry watched her go, remembering his own struggles as a young man when neighbors had shown him similar kindness. Now, decades later, he had the chance to pass that kindness forward. In Janitor, the weeks that followed, Emma proved to be everything Henry had hoped. She approached her work with the same gentle care she had shown a stranger on a street corner, and under her guidance, the company's community programs flourished. The lesson was simple, but profound. Kindness is never wasted. It plants seeds in unexpected soil and blooms in ways we never imagine. Emma had given freely of her time and compassion when she had little to spare, and in return, life had offered her far more than she had ever dared to hope for.